Welcome back to another video, guys. As you can see, I'm out in the garage here today, and behind me I got a whole bunch of minnow tanks set up, and I want to share with you guys just how I keep bait in the garage throughout the entire winter while losing very few fish. So to start off, I'm going to show you the tanks here. I got 4 110-gallon tanks set up. So what's in these tanks is this right here is the small tank, and these are golden shiners. They're size small. As you guys can see, they're pretty spunky. I don't have the filter set up in this tank just yet because I wanted to show you guys exactly how I'm setting these tanks up. But in this tank over here, we got everything set up, and these are our mediums. And in the next tank, we have large and jumbo golden shiners down in this white basket here. I'll explain what it is in a minute, but these are the jumbo golden shiners. And obviously the bass and the pike guys, they absolutely love those, as well as the large shiners, which are kind of hiding beneath the filter in this tank as well. And then last but not least, in the big tanks is the sucker tank. So these aren't big suckers by any means, but these are the big suckers that I have. As you can see, there's a lot in there, and also I have the smaller white suckers out here. That is the setup that I have going right now. Oh yeah, in this tank actually is the Tommy cods. Some people call these guys mummy chugs or killifish. They're all in the same family, and the old timers call them Tommy cods, so that's what we're gonna call them. The reason the tank's so dirty is because I just got them in, and as I do with all the fish, I have to purge them before I can throw them into a main tank. So the first question that I usually get is, what do you even begin to store them in? And this is what I decided to store mine in this year. These are 110-gallon stock tanks used for watering cows and livestock and stuff. You can pick them up at a Tractor Supply Company for like 80 bucks a piece. The brand that I use is called Tough Stuff, Tuff Stuff, but you can use whatever works for you. You can use something simple as a Rubbermaid tote like this one right here, or you can go all the way up to a big 110-gallon tank, or even bigger if you wanted to. So it all depends on the amount of bait that you plan to store. If you're going to keep thousands and thousands of shiners alive in a tank, you really need to go with something that is going to make sense for you. And for me, this is these 110-gallon tanks. If you're just going to keep a couple hundred alive, you can go with the simple $8 Rubbermaid tote like that one, or just a simple cooler as well. So once you have your holding tank picked out, the next thing to worry about is the water. So what I'm using here is just well water, and there's no chemicals really in it or anything at least that will harm these fish. So I literally just pour the water into the tanks, fill them up, and then throw the fish in immediately after pretty much. You really don't have to wait if you're using well water. If you're using city water and it has chlorine and stuff in it, it changes the aspect a little bit, and you have to wait, I think it's about 24 hours to throw them in. But that's up to you. You just don't want to kill a whole bunch of bait, especially if you're paying a lot for them. Okay, now that we've got the water figured out, the next thing to talk about is aeration. And there's a lot of ways that you can aerate the water. They sell a lot of different bubblers, but I want to go over which bubblers I have in here and which ones seem to work best for me. There's some that I like, and there's some that I don't like. Okay guys, so now we're going to talk about aeration. I got some of the aerators in here just to discuss which one's my favorite and which ones will work just fine. So we're going to start off by looking at this little yellow one. This is the one that comes with like the Mr. Bubbles little bait bucket aerator, and it does work fine. There's a whole bunch of bubbles, and there's small bubbles, but for this style of setup, you definitely want something that has a little more power to it and a little more space on it. So this is the next one, and this is just a cheap Walmart one that you can get in the fish aisle at Walmart, and this actually works pretty good. I'm not going to say that it's a bad one, but we can also do better than this in my opinion. And now this one is the best aerator in my opinion. So one of the things with aeration is you want a whole ton of bubbles, and you want the bubbles to be as small as possible to get the most surface area of the aeration into the water as possible. That's at least as I understand it. I'm not like an aquarium guy, but that's what I found works for me, and I find it to be true. So this is the best one that I found because the entire thing is utilized space. It's not got a plastic bar on it like the other one. And when you put it in, I don't have enough tubing on this right now, but it almost always lands perfectly horizontal, which evenly distributes the bubbles throughout the water. And the other thing is that there's small bubbles and there's a whole bunch of them. So for the price, this is the best aerator in my opinion, especially if you're trying to do big tanks with a lot of fish in them. They need a lot of aeration, so go with this one. You can get it from PetSmart. I would not recommend this aerator right here. This is like $10 at PetSmart. It's the same material as the one that I like the most, but every time you throw it in, it never lands as it's supposed to, and it ends up just throwing 1 or 2 big bubbles up most of the time, and it really does a poor job, especially for the money. And on the topic of aeration, guys, it doesn't really matter exactly what type of aerator you use. You use whatever you want to use and whatever works for you, but there's definitely a point where you can have too little aeration. The shiners will start to get sluggish, and then they'll come up to the surface and do like a circular pattern where they're sipping air over their gills from the surface of the water because the oxygen in the water is so depleted. Okay guys, this is what I mean by they start coming up to the surface. They just got scared because I'm here, but they start coming up to the surface and sipping off the top of the water because I pulled the aerators to move them to the big tanks, and as you can see, they're starting to come up slowly, and they'll start doing like a circular pattern and sipping off the top of the water. And last but not least is the filters. Those are those buckets with the tubing going into them right there. As you can see, I have it set up currently on 2x4s just to keep it out of the water a little bit. I was thinking about maybe running a round rod through them as well. But the filter is very important if you're going to hold any large quantity of bait, because they will cloudy up this water really fast, and you don't want to have to be doing a 110-gallon water change every, once or twice a week if you don't have to. And these filters do a great job of cleaning up the cloudiness of the water. As you can see, there's a little bit of stuff down there, but that's just because I didn't set up the filter immediately. But the water is, as you can see, crystal clear, and they've been in there for about a week now. So in order to show you guys just what the setup of the filter is, I have this set up right here. So I start at the bottom with a 325 gallon per hour Tetra pond pump. And then from there, it's just a 1/2 inch Tygon tubing up to this bucket lid where I drilled a hole in it. And then on the bottom side of this, it's just another hose clamp with the tubing to keep it from falling out of the lid here. So oftentimes I get the question, what's inside of the bucket filter? And I actually got this idea originally from Maine Trout Whisperer, and I know a lot of other people do it, but he was the one that I first got the idea from, so I'll leave a link to his channel down in the description below. But what's inside of here is just an air filter for an HVAC system to a house. These things are like $6 for like a 3-foot by 2-foot sheet of it at Lowe's. So I cut it into a circle that fits the size of the bucket, and then I just, in this case, I put 2 of them in there, and then I put some scrub pads down beneath it, and it's kind of acting as a biofilter, but that's not my 100% goal because the water temperatures are so cold that I don't even think that the bacteria really has a chance to grow inside of these. But I figured I'd leave these in here anyways, even if I don't think that the beneficial bacteria is going to grow, because I don't know, maybe it'll help at least filter out some of the water. If not, create some of that good bacteria that's going to eat the fish waste and clear up that water for us. So to put it simply, that's what the bucket filter is. It's just a bunch of scrubby pads with some air filters over the top of it, and it does a really good job of keeping the water clear. If you want to look more into it, you can look up Biofilters on YouTube. They're used in ponds and everything, and essentially all they do is just grow the good bacteria in the substrate or the media, which is this stuff, and then it filters out the water, keeping it clear and keeping the water clean. So one thing to remember with the pump is, yes, it's a 325 gallon per hour pump. However, as you increase the height that you're trying to pump the water to, this hose right here is 5 feet, you actually decrease the amount of water coming through the pump just because it has to work harder against gravity and everything. So you're really not getting a 325 gallon hour pump if you fill this up halfway and you restrict the flow by pushing it up against gravity. But for this, it works for me. If you wanted to go bigger or smaller, you could just buy whatever size pump is going to work best for your circumstances. But I found that this one works fine for this tank. Okay, now that we know how these filters work and we also know the aeration setup, another thing that I wanted to talk about is this right here. It's what turns the water blue. A lot of guys always ask, how do you get the blue water at the bait store or whoever's selling you bait? And this is how they do it. It's called finer shiner, also called better bait. And all that it is just like a fine salt, powdery blue substance And as you can see, I don't have it in the tanks right now. That water's crystal clear, but this is what protects the coating of the fish. If you're going to be storing the bait for long periods of time, I highly recommend that you pick some of this stuff up. It's pretty expensive, but this, I think it's a 1 gallon jug right here, and it's lasted me 3 years, and it's probably not even halfway empty yet. Another thing that Finer Shiner does for you is it protects against diseases, and if you store bait for a really long period of time, what can happen is on the gills, they can start to grow like a white fungus almost, and you really don't want that, because once one gets it, they'll all get it, and it like infects each other or something like that. But you definitely don't want that, and Finer Shiner is a great way to prevent it. So that Finer Shiner definitely makes a huge difference, but none of this works unless you keep this water super, super cold. I found that between 32 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit is the perfect temperature to keep bait for long periods of time. I've kept them up to 2 months without any diseases, any problems, without feeding them, because their metabolism slows down so much. It seems that they just don't need the food and they don't care for it anyways. And it just works out perfect. If you keep the tanks cold, you'll be able to keep the bait for a super long period of time. I'm actually borderline getting ice in these tanks right now. I had a little bit this morning that I had to clean up, and that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. If you don't have a temperature controlled environment, ice in the tanks is not a bad thing. But on the subject of ice in the tanks, one way to deal with that is to have stock tank de-icers. They're literally made exactly for these tanks. It's a submersible heater that you put in there, and it just prevents it from freezing on those really cold nights. One thing that you do have to be super careful of when you are heating up tanks is that you don't cook your shiners. You can literally, you'll come out in the morning and all of your bait will be dead. And that's a big deal, obviously. You really don't want to do that, so make sure that you read the instructions on the stock tank heaters that you're going to be using. And one easier way to control the ice levels in the tank is, if it's getting too cold, you can always just dump a 5-gallon bucket of hot water into the tank, but make sure that you understand how the fish are going to react and just how much you're diluting the water, because sudden changes in heat and cold, or hot and cold, can really hurt these fish, and you'll see them turn belly up and they just won't come back from it. So make sure that you understand just how much you're diluting the water if you're going to be pouring hot water into a cold tank. So this is a great way to store a ton of bait for yourself throughout the winter. It really helps you from not having to stop at the bait shop every morning. You can just buy a couple extra dozen when you go, store them on hand, and you can be out on the ice before sunrise and before any of the bait shops open. Also, we just crossed 1,000 subscribers. That means a lot to me. I work kind of hard on figuring these videos out and how to do them for you, and it means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it. So I hope that you guys have a great day, and best of luck in setting up your tank. I hope to see you guys in the next one.